Man, remember when Genjutsu was actually important and it actually affected people in the show? Those were the days. Let's do this similar to the Taijutsu video, i.e., this is not who would win in a fight. Imagine all these characters lost all their other abilities except Genjutsu, and that's what the list is based on. So don't get upset when you see stronger characters below weaker characters. Like right now in 10th, Sakura Hara. This is a weird one, admittedly, because she could be higher based on potential, but she did not put in the effort to warrant a higher position. What I mean by that is she has way better chakra control than the next few people on the list, and by the time the war arc rolls around, she would have been pretty much immune to their Genjutsu. But the reason I have her so low in terms of the list, not the actual show, she's still top 10, is we only have one example of her using Genjutsu, and that is in her light novel, so most people haven't even read it. Another reason she gets overly hyped in terms of Genjutsu is because of Kakashi's comment where he says she has an innate talent for it, but like I said, she never acted on that talent. Had she not trained a Tsunade, she probably could have gotten way better at Genjutsu if she actually focused on it, but training with Tsunade made her way stronger than she would have been had she focused on Genjutsu, so it's not like it's an actual bad thing that she isn't better at Genjutsu. Solid 10th. In 9th place, Kurenai. Now, memes aside, we all know she did try to use Genjutsu on Itachi, which is not the smartest thing to do. But he did praise her for her Genjutsu ability, and she can instantly see through all Genjutsu illusions, so that's pretty OP. She uses plant-based Genjutsu. That just made her sound like she's vegan. I don't think she's vegan, but her Genjutsu illusions uses trees and flowers. That's what I meant by plant-based. She can also cast Genjutsu on multiple opponents at once, and her Genjutsu takes her opponent to a way darker and deeper place than normal Genjutsu does, so it's harder to break out of. And this is ironic. She can revert Genjutsu and put it on her opponent, kind of like Itachi did to her. So if she was not fighting Itachi in that particular fight, she probably would have kicked that person's ass in Genjutsu. In 8th place, Toya. She had such a cool and unique Genjutsu ability. She used sound instead of visual triggers, I guess, like almost everyone else on this list. I say it's cool because the range of her Genjutsu was massive and super hard to dodge or evade, according to Shikamaru at least. It was also omnidirectional, obviously. That's how sound works. So basically being anywhere within a certain circumference of her would mess you up. Also, being a victim to her Genjutsu does not sound fun at all. Anyone caught in it is stuck in an illusion where they watch their own body melt away. In the anime at least. In the manga it's a lot more gory. Things also get worse. Remember the huge range I mentioned earlier? By the time the 4th war rolls around and she's reanimated, it's stated that her range has increased even more. Sticking with the war theme, even Kabuto had to steal her ability and add it to his Amazon cart of abilities he takes from other people. So that's proof in itself of how sick her Genjutsu abilities are. In 7th place, Shisui. One of the most glazed characters in the show. Yeah, I said it. Just kidding. All hate aside. He's actually a really strong Genjutsu user thanks to his Mangekyo ability, Koto Matsukame. This technique is so subtle and potent that it can alter a person's memories and manipulate their actions seamlessly, making it appear that they're acting out of free will, when in actuality they're not. His proficiency in using Koto Matsukame is so effective. Once someone is ensnared, they act completely oblivious and continue to act naturally for years or even decades without having a single inkling to them being trapped in a Genjutsu. It's kind of insane actually. Basically, his Genjutsu is super OP. Psych! There's a huge drawback. And that's why he's in 7th. The cooldown period has nerfed Koto Matsukame so much. According to Itachi, it can only be used once every 10 years. This is obviously up for debate, but considering Shisui was a teenager when he died, and he was slightly younger than 10 years old when he received this ability, doing the maths, it means he only used this jutsu once. Like I said, up for debate, but I lean towards that theory, so solid 7th place. Do you know what else is solid? Me if you subscribe. That was fucking weird. In 6th place, Danzo. The man that's like Kabuto, but way more picky. He's a collector of Sharingans. I know it's controversial to have him above Shisui since he stole Shisui's ability, but I have my reasons. Like I just mentioned, like Shisui, he can use Koro Matsukame, but that's not his only Genjutsu, and that's why he's higher on the list. He's also known for his potent use of Izanagi, a super powerful Genjutsu that allows him to alter reality. By sacrificing one of his many Sharingans, Danzo can turn any injury or fatal attack into a mere illusion, essentially allowing him to escape death and gain a strategic advantage in any battle he's in. This ability, combined with his Hashirama cells, means it's less taxing on him and means he can spam it a little bit more. And that's why I have him above Shisui. So it's justified, right? In 5th place, Obito Uchiha. Obito showed an insane level of Genjutsu proficiency by controlling Yagura, the 4th Mizukage. The reason this is so insane is because Yagura was a perfect Jinchuriki, and as we know, perfect Jinchurikis are immune to Genjutsu. To be fair, this was probably a plot hole, but it did happen, so yeah. Obito also used Genjutsu to control several tailed beasts, and similar to the perfect Jinchuriki thing, we do know the tailed beasts are resistant to Genjutsu, so another insane feat on his part. And then, while not solely his feat, Obito played a crucial part in Madara's plan to cast the Infinite Tsukiyomi. As we know, this is a super powerful Genjutsu that traps the whole world in an illusion. His involvement in this plan obviously highlights his deep level of understanding and application of Genjutsu on a super large scale. But as we'll discuss a bit later, there is a reason he's not higher on this list, even with all those feats. In 4th place, Itachi Uchiha. Itachi's signature Genjutsu, Tsukiyomi, allows him to trap his opponent in an illusionary world where he controls space and time. He used this against Kakashi and made Kakashi experience 3 days worth of torture in a matter of seconds, and left him hospitalized on top of that. It's not looking good for my boy. Itachi could also reflect Genjutsu back at his opponents once they've used it on him. This, as I mentioned earlier, is what happened with Kurenai. In the anime, Itachi uses a Genjutsu called Ephemeral, where he casts illusions on his opponent by simply pointing at them. This technique was used on Naruto to trap him in a nightmarish illusion. He's also known for using crows in his Genjutsu techniques. He used them against Sasuke, making him experience false situations to confuse him and disorientate him. While we're on crows, during the war, Itachi used Koto Matsukame on himself. He put a crow in Naruto's body just before he fought Sasuke, and that particular crow possessed Shisui's eye. He originally intended to use Koto Matsukame on Sasuke, but was forced to use it on himself to break Kabuto's control over him. Speaking of Kabuto, Itachi used Izanami to trap Kabuto in a loop of repeating events. Izanami is designed to force your opponent to accept their fate and change their ways. And as we saw in Boruto, it did just that. In 3rd place, Itachi's little bro, Sasuke. Early on in the story, Sasuke frequently uses the Genjutsu abilities of the base Sharingan to control and manipulate his opponents. This is achieved through eye contact with the Sharingan, and he used this on Sai to make Sai believe he was paralyzed. Sasuke also used Genjutsu on Manda, who is Orochimaru's giant snake summon. He did this to protect himself from Deidara's ultimate art. This demonstrates his ability to use Genjutsu on extremely powerful creatures in high pressure situations. But even more so, it highlights his insane plot armor, but that's something we'll cover in another video. Just like Itachi, Sasuke can reverse or reflect Genjutsu on his opponents once they've attempted to use it on him. His mastery of Genjutsu allows him to break out of other people's Genjutsus pretty easily. He was able to break free of Itachi's Tsukiyomi during their final battle, and that just shows his resilience and mastery of Genjutsu combat. Speaking of Tsukiyomi, although not exactly the same as Itachi's, Sasuke also has a similar illusionary-based Genjutsu. During his battle with Danzo, he trapped Danzo in this specific Genjutsu to extract information from him and also to create openings in the fight. And I know you're wondering why he's above Itachi. This is the reason. His Rinnegan. With his Rinnegan, Sasuke can cast even more powerful Genjutsu than he can with his Sharingan. He did this during his last battle with Naruto. In 2nd place, we have a real heavy hitter in the Genjutsu world, Madara Uchiha. Just like all the other Uchiha on this list, Madara can use the basic Genjutsu abilities of the base Sharingan. He does this to cast powerful illusions on his opponents to control their perceptions and actions. He can also use this ability to cast those exact illusions on multiple opponents. Madara's proficiency with Genjutsu means he has a pretty strong resistance to it as well. Like Obito, Madara has been shown to control tailed beasts, including Kurama. And just like Obito, this feat is super impressive because it shows that he can control near Genjutsu resistant chakra monsters like the freaking Nine Tails. And then one of his best Genjutsu feats is the Genjutsu he placed on Obito Uchiha. He controlled him and manipulated him to carry out all his plans. This long-term influence over Obito shows Madara's insane Genjutsu strength, as he was able to control another Uchiha and another member of this list, meaning Obito also had insane Genjutsu abilities and feats. Madara was able to control someone of that level for over a decade without them even realizing. How mental is that? That in itself is enough to have him at least second on this list. And then on top of that, just like Obito, but even more so, Madara's involvement in the Infinite Tsukiyomi plan shows us his insane understanding of Genjutsu. So, firmly in second place. And before we move on to who's first, let's look at some honorable mentions. Kabuto, Kakashi, obviously we gotta have the GOAT. Hashirama, all of those people could be on this list, but I think they were just edged out. And now we move on to first. Kaguya Otsutsuki. Let's get this out the way, like straight off the bat. Infinite Tsukiyomi is the reason she's in first. By projecting her Rinne Sharingan onto the moon, she basically has control over everyone on Earth. Well, almost everyone. Not people with the Rinnegan or Tailed Beast Chakra. But how many people have that? So it's practically everyone on the Earth. So basically the Infinite Tsukiyomi puts them all under her control, but you already knew that. And then, although it's primarily used for seeing chakra networks and seeing over vast distances, Kaguya's Byakugan can enhance her Genjutsu abilities, which is something we haven't really seen before. And while it's not a traditional Genjutsu, Kaguya's ability to manipulate dimensions can create environments that confuse and disorientate her opponents, which is very similar to what Genjutsu does. And then lastly, her super large chakra pool, her powerful abilities, and her vast knowledge of Dojutsu and Genjutsu in general give her a natural resistance to Genjutsu. So yeah, solid first place for Kaguya. Let me know what your list would be. Please do like the video. Please do subscribe. And as always, I'll see you next week. Peace.